If you're in your 30s and thinking about changing careers, there's a reason you keep second guessing yourself. It's not because you lack passion or clarity, it's because you're missing the system. And here's what most people don't realize: the system comes before the passion, not after. If your career looks great on paper but feels wrong inside, or if you've outgrown your role but you're terrified of making a mistake you can't undo, I get it. The stakes feel real because they are. And I'm not going to give you motivation or tell you to follow your heart. I'm going to give you a blueprint, a system, something you can actually test. Here's what I see over and over: someone in their 30s has external success, good job, decent salary, maybe even the title they thought they wanted. But internally, there's this growing sense of misalignment. They think the problem is clarity, and to say things like, if I just knew what I was passionate about, I'd leave. But that's not actually the problem. The problem is that they're trying to think their way into a new life without any new evidence. So, let me tell you what didn't happen for me. I didn't wake up one day with a thunderbolt of purpose. I didn't read a book that changed everything. I didn't quit my job and follow my passion. What actually happened was much stranger. And it only made sense years later when I reverse engineered the entire thing. I was working as a hospital pharmacist. This was after 6 years of pharmacy school and landing what most people would consider a good job. Internal medicine ward at a tertiary hospital. Complex cases, real impact on patients, right? But here's what nobody tells you about being a pharmacist in a developing healthcare system: the salary gets delayed for months sometimes. But unfortunately for me, around that time, the government had not paid us for like 8 good months. So we had 8 months of work without salary. So even though I was working full time, helping patients, doing the job that I trained for, but I wasn't getting paid for. I mean, eventually the pay came, but at that point I wasn't getting paid. One evening, I'm leaving the hospital completely exhausted, and a colleague pulls me aside and asks, Obed, how are you even surviving on this? That question stuck with me because the honest answer was, I'm not. And here's the strange part. Just a few days before, I'd done something completely outside my job description. I organized a 3-day online boot camp, or summit as I called it, 1 hour each day. And I did this after work, teaching digital skills that I'd learned on the side, right? Then no credentials, of course, no fancy certification for those things, just knowledge I'd picked up over the years. And from those 3 days, I made more than a third of my entire monthly salary as a pharmacist. Same person, same week, two completely different results. Now, here's what I didn't do without information. I didn't quit immediately. I didn't have a grand vision of becoming a tech entrepreneur. I just noticed something. There was a massive gap between the value I was creating in my official role and the value the market was willing to pay me for in my unofficial role. That gap was information, not inspiration. It was just information for me. It took me 2 more years to understand what was actually happening. I kept thinking the answer was to find my passion. Was I really passionate about those other things, the digital skills, or was health the thing that I was passionate about? But what I was actually doing without realizing was running small experiments, like building a pharmacy management app and selling it, creating a health blog that grew to over 40,000 monthly visitors, taking on contracts for websites and applications, teaching various workshops. Each one of these was sort of a tiny test, a small piece of evidence, and each piece of evidence was slowly updating the story I told about myself. Not from I'm a pharmacist to I'm a coder, but something more important, from I don't know what's next to I'm gathering evidence about what might work. Years later, after I've made that transition successfully, I did something different. I did it again and then again. Each time, I noticed the same pattern underneath. And that's when I reverse engineered it into something teachable. call it the reinvention path. It has 6 main stages, and I want to walk you through exactly how it works because once you see it, you won't be guessing anymore. You'd begin to experiment your way into your next identity. And there's a massive difference. So, the first stage of the reinvention path is curiosity. And I want to be very specific about what this means because most people skip it. Curiosity is not passion. It's not a burning calling. It's not, this is what I'm meant to do. Curiosity is simply what I am genuinely intrigued by. Most people think clarity comes first, that you need to know exactly what you want before you can move. But here's a psychological reality: your brain cannot give you clarity about a future it has no data for. So, of course, it says stay where you are. That's the safe answer. The only way to get data is to first notice what you are actually drawn to. Here's what you do: take 10 minutes. I say 10 minutes, but you can do more. Write down every domain, every skill, problem, or industry that you are curious about. Don't filter. Don't ask, is this realistic or do I have the time for this? Just list everything you would explore if time, money, and other people's opinions weren't constrained. Maybe it's design, maybe it's starting a business, maybe it's psychology, maybe it's teaching, maybe it's something totally different from what you do now. The key is honesty. You're not trying to impress anyone, you're just mining your own mind for signals. Then, from that list, you probably have 3 to 10 items or even more. Now, you need to choose one. But here's where most people make a mistake: they choose based on what seems more realistic or safe. But don't do that. Instead, use these 3 filters. Filter 1: does it intrigue you? If it is on your curiosity list, I want to believe that it intrigues you. But when you think about it, do you lean forward or does your energy drop? Filter 2: can you actually do something about it with what you have right now? Not 5 years from now, when you have saved enough money or gotten a degree, like right now, with your current resources, time, and position. Then filter 3: can you imagine creating value for someone else with this? Not can I monetize it immediately, but could this potentially matter to another human being or organization or entity? When you find something that passes all 3 filters, that's your focus. This is your testable hypothesis for the next 30 days. And I want to emphasize this: you're not committing to a new career, you're not burning bridges. You are just committing to 30 days of focused testing. That's it. That's the whole premise you're making, the whole promise you're making to yourself. Now, here's what most people get wrong about the next stage. So the next stage is about experiment. And most people think that an experiment means quitting your job, moving countries, going all in, and doing something drastic. But that's not an experiment. That's a leap. A real experiment is small, real world, and time boxed. Here's what I mean: your hypothesis is, if I do X for Y people in Z way, I'll learn whether this energizes me and whether it has actual potential. Let's make it concrete. Let's say you are curious about writing. Your experiment isn't become a writer. Your experiment is, I would write one short article every single day for 30 days on a topic I'm genuinely interested in, publish it somewhere where other humans can see it, and I'll track what happens. Or let's say you are curious about design. So your experiment becomes something like, or in the first place, your experiment isn't to become a designer, right? It's something like, I redesign one website or piece of software every week for the next month. I'd ask for feedback. I'll see whether this energizes me and whether anyone thinks the work is valuable. Or say you are curious about sales. Your experiment isn't to start a business. Your experiment is, I reach out to 50 people on LinkedIn about a problem I think I can help with. I'll track how many responses, how many agree to a conversation, whether I enjoy the process or not. The key is that you design this to fit inside your current life, not instead of your job. Alongside it, you're not trying to reinvent everything in 30 days. You're trying to generate honest data about whether the path is worth exploring further. But here's where most experiments fail. People do the thing, but they don't measure it. So the next step is evidence. So for instance, people finish the 30 days and say, I don't know if that was working or if it's too early to tell. No, you measure as you go. And there are two types of measurements. There is what I call internal evidence. This is subjective, but it's very crucial. So this is where you ask yourself, how does this make me feel? Or how does it make you feel? When you're doing this experiment, are you energized? Are you curious? Are you losing track of time because you are in flow? Or are you drained, resentful, counting the minutes until you can stop? The internal evidence tells you about alignment, whether this path fits who you are becoming. Then we have external evidence. This is objective. What's actually happening in the world? Did you complete what you set out to do? Are you getting results? Are people responding, asking for more, willing to pay attention, or even money? This tells you whether the market is interested. Here's what you do. Keep a simple log, 1 or 2 lines a day. Nothing fancy, just how did I feel today and what happened. Don't wait until day 30 to look at the data. Look at it as you go. By day 10, you start seeing patterns. By day 20, you know whether this is working. By day 30, the decision will be obvious. Then stage 5 of the reinvention part is decision. So at the end of 30 days, you'd have two numbers, one for internal energy, one for external evidence. So internal evidence is what I refer to as energy, and external evidence I refer to as traction. So you have traction and energy. And depending on what those numbers say, you'd make one of three moves. Move one is to pivot. So low internal energy and low external results. The work doesn't energize you and the market isn't responding either. That's clarity. This part isn't for you. Don't feel bad about this. You've just eliminated something. That's valuable data. Put this part down consciously. Thank it for teaching you something about yourself, and return to your curiosity list and pick the next one. Move 2 is to persevere. That's high internal energy but low or unclear external results. So in this case, you love the work, but the market isn't responding yet. Maybe it's too early. Maybe you need a different approach. Maybe the audience is different than you thought. So you don't abandon the path, you run another experiment. Maybe you try a different format, a different audience, a different way of creating value. The domain is right. The execution just needs refinement. Move 3 is to commit. This is where you have high internal energy and strong external results. So you're energized by the work and the evidence is undeniable. People are responding, you are getting traction, this is working. Now you start reallocating resources, more time, more energy, more focus. This is where the real momentum begins. Then we move to stage 6 of the reinvention path. That is expansion. The final stage, as I call it, is expansion. And this is where something profound happens that most people don't usually talk about. As you stack these experiments and evidence, as we've discussed, and as you repeat this cycle multiple times, something shifts internally. Usually not dramatically, not overnight, but the story you tell about yourself begins to change. You stop being someone who is thinking about making a change and you become someone who is building something or someone who is doing the thing. You stop saying, I'm trying to figure this out, and you start saying, I'm learning to code, or I'm becoming a designer, or I'm building my own business. The shift isn't from positive self-talk or affirmations. It's from evidence. This time around, you have evidence, you have proof. And here's a beautiful part. That evidence compounds. Each experiment generates small piece of proof of work. A project you finished, for instance, or an article you published, or a skill you demonstrated, a customer who believed in you. These pieces stack up. Eventually, the evidence for this new part becomes stronger than the evidence for the old one. Your work speaks louder than your doubts. That's when bigger moves become possible. Not because you suddenly have clarity, but because you've already been living the new identity while keeping your old job. You're not jumping into a void. You're stepping into an identity you've already been building. So, if you've been feeling stuck in your teens, I want you to hear this clearly. It's not because you're broken. It's not because you are late. It's not because you lack passion or purpose. It's usually because you've been trying to think your way into a new life without giving yourself any new evidence. You've been asking your brain for clarity about a future that's completely hypothetical. And of course, your brain says no. It's trying to keep you safe. The way to change that isn't to think harder, it's rather to act smarter. So you don't need a perfect passion. You don't need a 5-year master plan. I would say you need only three things. One, as we've discussed, is a list of honest curiosities about what intrigues you as an individual. Then two, you need a discipline to pick one and focus for 30 days. Three, you need a small real world experiment that fits inside your current life. From there, the reinvention part, that's what it always does. Curiosity becomes action, action generates evidence, evidence rewrites your story, and eventually your story becomes your new reality. So, here's exactly what you do right now if this. So, so here's exactly what resonated with you. Don't just watch this video and feel inspired. That's not enough. One, take 10 minutes today. Write down every single curiosity you have about your work and your career. Every domain you'd explore if time and money weren't a problem. Don't filter, just list. Step two, from that list, pick one using the three filters we talked about: interest, feasibility, evidence, potential. That's your focus. Step three, design a tiny experiment around that focus. Something that you can do consistently for the next 30 days alongside your current job. Is, for instance, if you are curious about writing, as we said, to one article a day. If you're curious about design, commit to one redesign a week or a day. Or if you are curious about sales, commit to, say, 10 outreach messages a week. It's totally about you. Make it small, make it doable, and make it real. Step four, at the end of those 30 days, sit down with your notes. Look at your internal energy and look at your external results. Make a decision whether to pivot, persevere, or commit. Do this once and you already feel different because you will have moved from thinking about changing to testing what works. Do it a few times and your career will start to look completely different. Now, here's the thing. Knowing the system is one thing, but knowing where you are on that system is something else entirely. Most people guess about where they actually are. They assume they are further along than they are, or they think they are more stuck than they are. So I built something to help you see clearly. It's called the identity audit. It's a 15-minute assessment that looks at two things: how aligned your current life is with your authentic self, and how clear you are about the future you're building. At the end, you see exactly which stage of the reinvention path you are on right now. And more importantly, you get your specific next step. Not generic advice, your next step. Whether that's going back to collect more evidence, designing your next experiment, or finally making a bigger commitment to the path you've been building. You can take it at audit.ehoneahobed.com or check the video description for a link to it. If this video was a blueprint, I'd say the audit is your personalized snapshot. Use them together. That's it. Now go test it out yourself. Welcome to the lab.